Hello everyone, thank you for stopping by today. And if this is your first time of discovering my channel, it's centered around sewing. I make sewing videos and pattern drafting. So if you're here to subscribe to my channel, kindly do so because it's never going to be a regret that I subscribe to this channel. So in today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you all how to make this flay shades gown I'm putting on right here with this bell sleeve and a bishop collar. So you can see how beautiful and nice this looks on me, and I went ahead to open up the collar area so you see that it's actually a shirt. So without wasting much time, I'll just proceed with today's tutorial. So here is the fabric I'll be making use of, and there's a multicolored Ankara fabric which I got. So basically how to fold this is in a triangular shape or manner. So you can see how I went ahead to fold this, and I'm trying to make sure that everything aligns properly. So it's going to have this A-line shape. Let's call it an A-line flay or A-line shape. So it's going to have the alphabet A shape. Okay, so from the beginning point of that pointed area, I went ahead to mark 10 inches. So this 10 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and use my straight ruler to connect it into a straight line. So on that line now, I'm going to be taking my shoulder measurement. So you can see that the place I'm taking my measurement from is the other closed part, and I went ahead to divide my shoulder into two and marked it right there. So I went ahead to mark my neck opening of 2 inches and also a neck depth of 1.5 inches. So this is all I did, and remember that I'm marking from the closed part. So from that my shoulder line, I went ahead to come down by 10 inches, which is my bust point, and you can see I connected this into a straight line. So I went ahead from that shoulder area to mark 8 inches, which is my armhole length. So I went ahead to also connect from that my shoulder line down to the 8 inches which I marked, which is my armhole length. I went ahead to divide this my armhole into two, and I have 4 inches. So I went ahead now to use my curved rule to just connect temporary for now, because the main armhole I'm still going to draw here. So on that my chest line, which is that my armhole length, I'm going to divide my bust circumference into 4, and I'll go ahead and add extra 4 inches, making it 14 inches right here. So you can see that I went ahead to reconnect my armhole, making sure that my armhole stops at that point where I marked my bust circumference divided into 4 plus 4 inches. So I hope you understand. So under my neck width or neck opening, I went ahead to go up by half of an inch and slightly connected this into my shoulder line, and this exactly will be my shoulder slope. So after that, now I'm working with a gown length of 34 inches. So I went ahead to mark 34 inches and add extra 1 inch, which is going to serve as the hemming allowance. So that's what I proceeded to do right here, and I went ahead to make sure that I placed my tape on that first line, which is my shoulder line at that top area, and I went ahead to mark 35 inches all around. So you can see that as I'm shifting this, I'm marking this. So do ensure that your tape, the tip of your tape, is at that shoulder line. So after this, now I'm going to just connect with a straight line from that my armhole area. I'll just shift a bit by 1 inch, and I'll connect straight like this all the way to my actual gown length. So after that, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So this is exactly the way it should come back, and please do mind you that this is for the back part of this gown. So we'll draft the back part first before proceeding to drafting the front side. So from that part, I came up by 2 inches, and I'm going to slightly connect this like this, and after this I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. So we're just going to use, after drafting this back part of this gown, I will use it to draft out for the front side, because it's the front side which carries the button and not the back side. I hope it's clear enough. So for the front side, I went ahead as well to also fold the same way I folded for the back part, and I'm just going to use this my back dress to place on my other folded fabric. And if you can watch very well from that other end, you can see that I left a button allowance of 1 inch. I didn't start my placement from the edge of that fabric. So if you watch properly, you see that I have 1 inch space at that point, which will serve as my button allowance. You can go ahead and leave 1.5 or 2 inches if you like, but me, I preferred leaving only 1 inch space for my button allowance. So you can see I'm here taking the measurement to make sure that everything is accurate. So after that, now I'm just going to go ahead and cut out every other thing the same way. So the only difference with the front and the back area is the button allowance. So I went ahead to notch my button area to know where this button allowance actually started from. So every other thing, I'm going to cut it out the same way. So you can see what I have here, and I'll go ahead now and open this up because it's meant to be open and not closed. So this is simply what I did right here. So you can see, spreading this out, you can see how nice it's looking already. So this is just basically it, and I'll show you how, the back part of this shirt, and that will just be it. And I'll proceed to my work table to start with the sewing. So I went ahead to get one part of my front gown, and I'm going to iron my hemming gum to this because I'm trying to iron down the button allowance area. So I went ahead to mark 1 inch, so you can see. And this hemming gum I'm working with here is actually 1 inch, so I had to fold it into 2 to give me half of an inch. And I proceeded to place it exactly on that line where I marked my 1 inch. Okay, so I now folded this and I went ahead to iron. So this is how you're going to do this from the beginning to the end part. And I'm just going to carefully fold this, and as I'm folding, I'm trying to measure this out to ensure that I don't exceed my 1 inch button allowance. So this is basically what I did here, and you can see how carefully I'm doing this from beginning to the end part. So I trust that this is how you should also do yours as well to get a perfect finishing. So after ironing this, I went ahead to fold the remnant of these rough edges inward like this. So after folding, I'm going to give this a very generous pressing and iron this very well. So after folding in, I'll flip to the right side and iron this generously. So after this, now you're just going to go ahead and stitch at the very close edge of that folded area all the way down. So I did this for the 2 parts, and after that I went ahead to pin the front and the back of this shirt together at the shoulder area, and also I'm going to go ahead and pin the sides, and I'm going to stitch this up. So for the sides, I use half of an inch to actually stitch this up. So after that, now you're going to get your dress and fold it into two, just the way I'm doing right here, and you're going to go ahead and use your office pin to pin this down. So after pinning this down, I'll go ahead now and take the measurements of my neck area. So I'll take the measurement, and right here I think I got 10¼ or so. So whatever it is you get, just take note of that. And I'll proceed to get my hat stay or my collar gum, and I'm going to go ahead now to pin this to stay in place. And after that, I'm just going to go ahead to mark a straight line, which will be my guide, because this hat stay wasn't really straight enough. So I'll go ahead now and mark my neckline I got. So I just marked it right here, and the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to mark the height of this collar. So I went ahead to mark 1 inch because I don't want it too high. So this is basically it, and I'll use my straight ruler to connect these dotted lines into a straight line. So this is it, and at that other end, which is the open part, I'm just going to give this a curve. So you can see the top area alone is the part I'm giving a curve, so to make a little difference. Okay, so if you want to leave yours straight, fine. If you want to curve yours just like mine, it's actually okay. So I went ahead to cut out, and after cutting out, I'm going to go ahead now to cut this out on my actual fabric. So I went ahead to get my fabric, and you can see how I folded this into 2. I'll go ahead and iron this a bit so it remains flat. And after ironing this, I'll go ahead now to get my hat stay or my collar stay, and I'm going to place this on this fabric like this, and I'm just going to go ahead now to iron this. So please note that the placement of this stuff really matters at this point. Okay, so after ironing this now, I don't know why the other end refused to gum, but I neglected it and proceeded with this. So I went ahead to cut this out at, so you can see all the allowance left around it. So after cutting this out like this, I'll proceed to cut to marking half of an inch all around, because you're going to leave half of an inch all around this collar stand. So this is like the actual sewing allowance that should be left all around. Okay, so go ahead and mark half of an inch all around. There is no need for me to mark it because looking at it, I know what half of an inch is already. So I'm going to go ahead after cutting this out. This is what it looks like. So you can see that all around this is half of an inch. So I'm just going to sew at the both parts and the top area, leaving that bottom area open. That's the bottom area, fixing that my ruler is going to be open, but I'm going to stitch the other side. And after stitching this, I'm just going to go ahead and flip this to the right side, sorry. So here it is, and this is what it looks like after stitching this, and you can see how nice it's looking. So I'll bring the two parts together, and I'm just going to carefully notch the midpoint of this area. And after notching it, I'm just going to get my dress, and I also come to the midpoint of the neckline because I've not removed the pins I used in pinning down the neck area. Okay, so I'm just going to notch the middle of this neckline and remove my pins. So I'll spread this out and get my collar stand, and I'm going to get the two notch parts and place them together, right sides facing each other. So if you watch very well, you see that the part I placed on this my fabric, sorry, on this my dress, is actually the part where I iron my hard gum. So this is just it. Go ahead and pin this from the middle point to the other end at both sides, and this is just basically what you do right here. So carefully do this to ensure you have a neat work and neat finishing. So you go ahead and stitch that down just the exact way that you folded. Okay, so after stitching that down, now the remnant of this half of an inch we have is going to be tucking or folded in just like this. So you can see that I'm carefully folding this in, and after folding this in, I'm just going to go ahead now and give this a very nice press from beginning to end. And you can see I'm yet to stitch this down, but you can see how nice it's looking. So go ahead and stitch up exactly the way you folded in, and you have a neat and nice collar. So the next thing I'll proceed to do now is to draft off the sleeve. So for the sleeve now, we're going to fold the exact way you folded while drafting this gown. So I'm going to get my armhole plus 1 inch, and that's where it falls, and I'm going to make a straight line there, and from that straight line I'm going to go by 3 inches. So at that 3 inches, I'll also mark a straight line on that area. So on my armhole length, I'm just going to go in by 5 inches, and from that 3 inches, I'm going to make a curve and connect it to that 5 inches I came down by. I'm going to take my armhole measurement plus 1 inch, and that is where it falls. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my sleeve length. So I'm working with a sleeve length of 24 inches plus 1 inch is 25 inches. So I place my tape at that top area. That's the 3 inches I went up by from my armhole area. So that's where our tape should be placed, and I went ahead to mark 25 inches all around. And after marking this, I'm just going to connect like this, just almost similar the same way I did for my gown while drafting the dress. I'm just going to mark it that way because I don't really want this to be extremely big. But if you want this big, is all about your preference, you can still leave it that way. But me, I don't want it to be extremely big, so I just went ahead to trim this off a bit. And please, I didn't tamper with my armhole, so you can see where that line is, and I went ahead to also cut out from my armhole area. And this is just it. Okay, so I looked at this again, I felt that it was still too big, so I went ahead to draw an imaginary line again, and I also went ahead to also trim this a bit. So watch carefully, you see that I didn't tamper with the armhole area. So this is just basically all I did, and you can see what it's looking like. Bring these two sleeve into 2 and notch the midpoint. So after this, I'm just going to go ahead and fix this to my dress, and that's all for this tutorial. So here's the final look of this beautiful dress, and you can see how nicely key and beautiful it's looking. So you can go ahead as well to add pocket to yours if you feel like it's totally optional. So thank you so very much for watching. If you've come this far watching me and you're yet to subscribe to my channel, I wonder what you're waiting for. Subscribe to my channel to always get updates on how to make beautiful and nice outfits. So thank you all for watching, and to all my subscribers, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment. So till some other time, see you on the same channel. So guys, please follow me up on Instagram and on Facebook. I just created new accounts right there, and that will be the official page where I'll be posting beautiful pictures which I snapped with any dress or tutorial that I've made here. So thank you very much, and God bless you all. Bye. Love you all.